What's going on, my peoples? How y'all feeling? It's your boy DV. I'm back at it again at work. Want to chop it up with you guys. Taking my little break. I use my break time as a little moment to share with you guys. I'm on a night shift working, so um, this is just a follow up to my Out of Woman video that I posted last week sometime, where I was highlighting um, the role that I feel women are evolving back into as leaders in our society, and the cleansing and healing that is taking place amongst the feminine energy and the healing amongst the masculine energy. So, out the gate, I got some responses back from a few people, mostly female, in regards to some of the things that I said. So, this video is kind of like to just clarify some things. I mean, it's just a conversation. Out the gate, I just want to make sure that everybody understands what Trill Talk is meaning, and what Trill Talk is trying to establish um, for me, from my perspective. Its meaning is to let as much realness and truth as possible be exchanged, from different outlooks, from different perspectives, um, and how we can be able to be open-minded enough to receive what another person's perspective is, because it could be something that's truth that's not really being revealed to us. So I open up these topics and these different discussions to engage and get people thinking and get people to share their perspectives, and just let people understand that this is my perspective, this is my truth, um, and or it could be my belief. And here's the thing for me when it comes to beliefs. I'm always open for my belief to change. That's why I believe something. I don't know it. When I know something, I know it. And if I know something, it's very hard for what I know to be fact or to be truth, for that to be changed. And there's more things that I just believe than it is that I know. Okay. So I'm not going to sit up here and try to say that I know it all. Um, and that's the reason why we have these conversations. So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there to anybody that listens to any of my episodes, and want to engage back. I open that. I'm welcoming to that. So hopefully, man, I can actually have like a real episode. I ain't at work. I get on Zoom or whatever, StreamYard, and maybe invite feminine energy on the platform, and we can discuss it, and I can discuss it, and I can get a feminine point of view. But here's the things I just want to clarify. One of the things that was said is that women are healing too. And in my other video, I had said that men are the ones that are going through a healing process in this shift that we're in, from a higher conscious perspective. And that women are going through a cleansing. I just want to clarify something. Cleansing is a form of healing, okay? What I mean by men are going through a healing, and the difference between what men are going through and what women are going through. And I said this in a video, I just want to highlight the woundedness of men, and how you can be wounded to a point. Let's just say And I'm just going to use just being in an actual battle as an example. You could be in a fight, you could be in a battle with somebody, and somebody can wound you. They can bust your lip, but black your eye. I mean, everybody probably watch boxing. When you're watching boxing, the ref is there, and the ref is making sure that even though one of the opponents is wounded, that he's bleeding, that he's scarred, that he's whatever the case may be, that he's injured, okay? Because he ain't scarred yet, because there ain't no healing taking place yet. But that he's injured, that he's not injured to the point that he can't continue to fight, right? But once that ref realizes that, all right, this injury is beyond his capability to A, defend himself, or to also come in an offensive stance and be able to fight back, that this guy's not in the condition to fight any longer. That is what I wanted to highlight, what I feel has been taking place in the lives of a lot of men collectively, is that men have been wounded to the point of not being able to fight back. Okay. And being a black man in America, I can definitely attest to this with black men per se. Not saying all men, but all men have been wounded to a certain extent as well. But when you see a man not being able to walk in his role, and this is what I was highlighting, whether it's his role as a provider or his role as a protector for his family, and he's not being able to do that. It's not, and then this is what I want, not just men, not just women to understand, but men and women and families, us as a society to understand about men, is that, and let's just use fatherhood as a good example, an example of a father that we call deadbeat dad, that has checked out and no longer is walking in that role as a father figure in a young developing child's life. It's not that this man is choosing to do this because he does not have a desire to be a father. Okay? Just like mothers have motherly instincts, men, we have fatherly instincts as well, women. I want to let you know this because I am a father. Okay? We have this in us. Even men that don't have biological children of their own, they father someone else in some type of way, shape, form, or fashion. You hear this thing going around now calling men unks. You know what I mean? Oh, unc. You know, the uncle status is no different from the father status. Just like the auntie status is no different from the mother. That's just a title that we give that particular motherly or fatherly figure, aunt or uncle. But an uncle could be very much a fatherly figure in somebody's life. So that we call it the aunt, you know what I mean? Big aunt. You get guidance from them. You get, you getting Jews drop, you know what I mean? You getting, some type of provision or protection or something along those lines, that this is what a father would do for a son or a daughter. You might get that from the aunt, right? So the thing that I'm getting at is a lot of times you're seeing these men tapping out of this role, not because they don't desire to do it or that they don't feel this instinctive urge to walk in this role as a father. It's just because they can't do it. For whatever reason, they are disabled from being able to do it. And even though they want to do it, they can't. It's not even that I don't know how. I don't have it. I don't have the ability to do it. And this is me regressing to self. And now, because I can't do it for whatever reason psychologically, we're speaking psychologically and mentally, because we can't do it, now I have to cope with not being able to do it. And this is when you see a lot of drug abuse, alcoholism, things of that nature, whatever it is. Getting into multiple relationships, or just totally being disconnected. Um, you know, being off on this island all to yourself, and you're not stepping into this role. That man may have been wounded for whatever reason, whatever. It could have been his past. It could have been what he was been told about him mentally, psychologically. He hasn't got to the root of what that is that's causing him to not engage in this role. Okay? Men are healing from that. And I'm basing this off of my own experience. I have a lot of young men that I have been blessed to be a mentor to connect with, to relate with, to learn and grow from. A lot of young men. And what I'm seeing, just being in their lives, being in these circles of these young men, some young fathers, some haven't even branched into fatherhood yet. But I am seeing more and more young men that are actually stepping up to the plate saying, you know what, I want to be in my child's life. You know, you don't see that as much as you did when I was coming up, where you had a lot of men that were checking out and not being around. This is the healing that I'm talking about. The men are wanting to, but as I counsel these young men, they still dealing with the same woes that we dealt with, when it came to us, not having the father figures, or not having the fathers in our lives, or not really being educated on how to be a father. They're still struggling with those same things, but they have the desire to be better. And that is the healing process. That is the reaching out saying, hey, I noticed that I'm down, I'm wounded, but I don't want to stay wounded. I don't want to stay down. What do I need to do to get stronger in this role? That is what's taking place. Okay. And when I compare that to the woman aspect, that hasn't always been the case, where a woman may go through a tragedy or go through something very inflicting that has caused her to be damaged, to be hurt. But it hasn't caused her to be damaged or hurt to the point that she does not walk in her role. And again, I'm not saying that that's not happening with no women at all. There's no women that have just tapped out, that's just been abused, that's been hurt, that's been mistreated to the point that, I can't do it anymore. No matter what the role is, whether it's your role as a mother, as a sister, as a daughter, or just, whatever light that is in you that you feel that you want to emanate to the world, but it's being diminished because of the pain, right? I'm not saying that that's not happening equally with women, right? This perspective was from my perception, is looking at it from a higher look at the collective as a whole. Okay, the shift that we're seeing as a whole, as society. Okay, that shift. Okay, and when you look at things from the collective perspective, from a higher consciousness, where you're looking at everything as a whole, but then you try to personalize it, right? It might not line up that way, because what may be happening consciously as a whole might not be specifically happening to you, right? But when you understand what's happening as a whole, and then you do relate that to what's happening to you personally, you can see how important it is that you do find that healing woman. You do find that healing and that strength man, so you can be a positive force in the collective shifting and the collective healing and the collective cleansing of us as a whole. Okay? So I'm hoping I'm articulating myself correctly and I'm saying things that lines up with my point. Okay? I'm not individualizing this and saying this is every woman, this is every man. No. This is my viewpoint and what I see as what's happening on a larger scale with everybody. So, to the point with the cleansing. Cleansing is a form of healing too. Like I say, just the difference is a cleansing is not a healing that's taking place because of being out of alignment or necessarily being wounded. It's something that just happens when over a course of time, because of the way things are moving and we're functioning in society, that we are subjected to levels of toxicity. Your body can't help but get things and elements in it that it doesn't need. Even food, you can eat the most healthiest food there is, all fruits and vegetables and all good stuff, right? You can drink just the purest water, just everything's just as good as you can make it. But guess what? When your body eats it, you're still gonna go to the bathroom. You know, it's still some elements of that food or that water that you drink that your body just doesn't need. It takes the things that it needs and it discards the rest. That is cleansing. That is our digestive system is a cleansing that we go through. It flushes out the things that we don't need. We sweat. It flushes out the things that we don't need. Our saliva, our sinuses, all of this stuff, the wax build up in your ear, all of this is signs of I am collecting the things that my body no longer needs, and we clean them out. We cleanse them out. That's why the word clean is in cleansing. Okay. So that's going to happen. Okay. We're going to get toxic things in us just because that's life, and that's going to build up. And that is a form of the body healing itself, is getting rid of the things that it doesn't need so it can prepare itself for, being fertile ground for new growth. That is what's happening with a woman every month when she goes through her menstrual. Her eggs and ovaries and all this stuff, everything, her whole body is preparing itself for, hey, I'm ready. If I want to create new life, the body is ready for it. It's in this most optimal prime state, cleansed and flushed and ready and healed, and everything is functioning and working like how it should, and it's ready to receive something new, a new spark of life, right? That is what's happening on a collective conscious level right now. We're about to embark on a new spark of life, a new birth, right? And the level of unwanted things in society has built up so much to the point that it needs this flushing. It needs this cleansing. Okay. And that is something that has built up over the course of all of these years. This is another point a female said to me was women have been getting overlooked. Okay. They always been, I think she said, always stepping up to the plate. Women has always been willing and ready to step up to the plate, but they have been overlooked. That overlookedness is what's being cleansed out, is being washed, is being flushed out. And again, like I was saying in the other video, this is like a combination, okay, of what's happening with the healing of men too. As the men heal, as the men regain their strength, as they get their loins up, they gird themselves up and they get back in a position where I can pick up the sword again. I could pick up the shield again. I could go back out onto the battlefield and I can actually do what I'm designed to do. And that's fight and protect, fight for my family, protect my family. go out there and provide for my family, bring in the nourishment that my family needs. And again, this is not just talking about, just literally going out and working and providing, though, but it's providing a safe place. It's providing the atmosphere. It's providing the information and the tools to help in guiding and leading our family. So again, this is not saying that men are not leaders. I haven't had a man come and be critical of my words or what I was saying directly, but it was kind of like some notions, some subtle things said that but I know that there's going to be a lot of pride. There's going to be a lot of men that's going to kind of buck against saying, well, no, the man is the leader. It's the man's job to lead. No. It's not just the man's role to lead. That was another thing that a female did say to me, is that men, that men should lead, and when a man is a good leader, then a woman will follow a good leader. And I agree with that. But again, we're talking about on a higher level consciously, right? On a higher level, systematically throughout society, men have been in that role, right? The mindset of that, which makes it easier for a person to just automatically be like, oh, the man takes the lead, because that is what we have seen the most as the majority. And again, maybe it should have been that way, but I believe because the woman has been overlooked as a lead or as a leader or a teacher or a guide, right? Because it has been overlooked, it has caused this imbalance. And now you have men thinking, I have to be in this role. And when it wasn't something that was innate or natural, okay, now a perverted form of that leadership has formed, because now I'm trying to do something that I'm really not equipped to do, or was not really meant for me to do, when in this particular case or situation, I needed that feminine energy. And because we don't know how to have that balance between the two, harmonizing between the two, draw that from the other, and we just thought that, no, I don't get that from a woman at all, then that's how that imbalance it came up. It surfaced, So now we're resetting this. It's a resetting that's going on. And we have to be mature enough as a people, okay? This is a maturity thing. We have to be mature enough as a people and competent enough as a people to be able to recognize that this is taking place, that women are getting back to the place that they can bring this leadership and this guidance back into our culture, back into our society, into our communities as a whole, and that men are humble enough to say, you know what, we want to receive that from the woman. Okay? Not that it's not the woman's place. Okay? And then now we can, as a whole, be prepared to be like, all right, let's sit back. It may be a season of majority feminine energy leading us, because we're going into a birthing of something new. Oh, I'm getting this just now. Think about it. We may 6,000 years ago, let's just go back. And y'all hear me keep saying this. I say that just because this is kind of like the common number when it comes to recorded history, like what we know. History is far older than 6,000 years. We know that. It's billions of years, right? That it's been life on this planet. But we're talking about just what we know. This is kind of like our understanding of life, right? If you really think about it, we may have not needed, prior to the 6,000 years, let's say 10,000 years or 20,000 years or 40,000 years ago, we may have not needed the woman in the leadership role in that season of that age that humanity was in, right? But we need it now because we are coming to an end of something and starting something new. I want you to think about that. Coming to an end of something and starting something new. Well, starting something new, a rebirth, anytime you're dealing with birth, we're talking about what? The feminine energy. We're talking about females. Females give birth. The masculine does not give birth. That's not a masculine thing. It's a feminine thing to give birth. And as I said in my video before about the woman leading the child out of the birth canal, down a path, right, into a new start. So maybe that's why it's this shift. Maybe that's what I'm sensing, okay, is that women are preparing themselves to give birth to this new era. This is why we need the women to be in this leadership role, because this is their time to lead. Okay? And it's the man's time to protect. If a woman's giving birth and she's in pain, and no matter what's going on, you make sure that woman, you get the pillows and get the hot water and all this stuff, and and you make sure nobody's in the room, nobody's tainting that. If you go to the hospital, the doctor's scrubbing down and putting on all of this stuff, protecting the environment to prepare for this new thing to be birthed into the atmosphere. Okay? So now they're protecting, they're providing the things that the woman needs. So only thing she has to do is she focus on bringing forth this new thing. That is what's happening. The feminine energy, the women need to focus on bringing in a new thing. So on a lower level, on a macrocosmic level, right? Down here in our individual lives, individually, this is why women are being compelled to walk into these leadership roles and take charge and be a voice, to be heard, because they feel it inside. Okay? And that's okay. The more that you express it in your individual life, you are creating this vibration. Okay? You're setting the frequency when you individually change your mindset and say, I'm not just a helpmate. I'm not just going to be, what they say, barefoot and pregnant, walking around the house, just cooking and cleaning and doing whatever my man tell me to do. No, I have ideas. I have a vision. I want to go out and I want to express that. When you set your frequency to that, woman, okay, ladies, when you set that, you're doing something that's bigger than you. We have to start realizing, yes, this is your life. You're the star of your show. It is all about you and your connection to the higher power, right? But just know that when you understand who you are, your true self, this is your story. You have to be the best you. You have to love on you. You have to encourage you. You have to bring forth the best you. You have to connect with God, the God in you, what God looks like and feels like to you. You have to know, not believe. You have to know this for yourself. All of that you're doing, you do that in order to create the positive force and the positive dynamic to connect with another individual, and then another individual, and then another individual. And everybody is bringing their true best self to light. Now we're lighting up the world. But if your bulb is dull, right? And the person next to you, their bulb is dull or out, blown out, right? You're not shining the best. From a grand scheme, when you take yourself out of the picture frame and look at the whole thing, that them dim lights are gonna stand out. You're gonna see it. It's gonna mess the whole picture up, right? And if it's a whole pocket, a whole patch of dull people, right? That whole little section is not going to be glowing, and you're not going to be able to see the beauty of the whole thing. Your little light matters, right? So yes, you walk in that expression to the best of your ability. What do that might look like? A woman saying, you know what, I'm going to take some time out from a relationship right now. You know, I've been searching for a man, and I'm to the point where I think that I need a man to complete me. No, nobody needs another person to complete them, to be whole. That's not what relating or relationships is about finding somebody to complete you. No, you are complete. You are whole. You take your whole with somebody else's whole, and you bring those two wholes together, right? Whole selves together to create something new. You only bring a half of you and half of you, and then we just made a whole. You know, that's all we did. We just, and it's not creating something new, okay? So it might be that season for you, lady, woman, queen, to fall back and say, hey, I just need some time to figure me out. All of these years of trying to make this relationship work, all of these years of pouring into my children, trying to be the best mother, trying to get them to be out in the world and be them best selves. And at some point, I lost the essence of who I am outside of being a mother, outside of being a wife, outside of being a girlfriend, outside of being a daughter, outside of being all of these things, right? You have lost who you are. I ask these people these questions all the time. What if everybody that you knew in your life was just taken away from you, right? And you were just left, just you know, in a new situation, a new environment. Nobody knows you, no family, no friends, no nothing. And you were put into a new environment. How well would you function? How much do you know who you are outside of these roles that you played in other people's lives? And I ask people that question all the time, and they just really, sometimes it stumps people. Some people have an answer for it. Sometimes it stumps people. I've had and these are grown people, 40 plus years old, say, I don't know who I am outside of being a husband or being a wife, or being a father, or being a mother, or being a businessman, or being an entrepreneur, or being a worker, you know, being at the bottom of the totem pole, working on the assembly line. I don't know nothing else. This is all that I know. You know, finding out who you are outside of the roles that you play in other people's lives is the best way for you to play the role that you play in other people's lives. Because you are being your best you. And your best you the roles are just a byproduct. You will be, if you're your best you're going to be the best father. You're going to be the best mother. You're going to be the best friend. You're going to be the best, whatever role you play in society, you're going to be that best, because tapping into your true self and your gifts, and knowing what your gifts is and knowing what your talents is, now you're going to walk in these roles in truth and not in falsehood, not in I'm trying to be the father that somebody else is. This is how he is with his kids, so I'm going to try to mimic that. And you're going to try to be something that you're not. It might look good for a while, but pretty soon, you know, the gig is up. People are going to see, nah, this is not authentic. You know, you're not bringing your true you to that person, and it's not matching that energy what that person needs, because they need you to be your true you. That's why you were matched together. Okay. And we living in this society where everybody has an opinion and an idea that they got from somebody else's opinion, an idea that they got from somebody else's opinion, an idea. And everybody's trying to share this and share this information. We're in this huge age of information right now with the internet. You know, me just talking to y'all right now is just a part of it, you know. But it's good too. It's good that we have these platforms. It's good that people are expressing themselves. It's good that people are able to think outside of the box. That is good. We just have to have wisdom and discernment and a level of maturity to be able to, like I said with the cleansing, take the things that we need and discard the things that we don't need. And even the things that we don't need, the waste, right? Do y'all know what they do with cow manure? Sometimes you ride down the highway and you smell it, you know, you're on the highway, like, oh, you know, well, they take that and they reuse it as fertilizer, right? So even the things that is waste, that we waste, it might be good to be used in another setting, right? The whole recycle effect, right? So a level of maturity and understanding of knowing this, knowing how to be in a position to not be so caught up in who you think you are based off of what your mama said or what your grandma said or what your daddy said or what society says, but washing yourself, cleansing yourself of all of that. Only taking the things that mama said that you know applies to what God has said, what you have said, that you have tapped into, that you know for yourself, right? You take those things. But then all the other stuff that, you know, that's just tradition, or that's superstition, or that's this, or that's religion, or that's the society we in, that's the culture that we in, and I don't really need that. That doesn't work for me. And being mature enough and strong enough and bold enough to stand on that, to say, hey, this doesn't work for me. I don't need it. I'm not going to knock it. I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm just not going to apply it. And the person on the other side looking at you is like, you know what? I respect that because it works for me. So I'm going to keep using it because it worked for me. Or that person being like, you know what? Dang. You're encouraging me now, because at the end of the day, I don't really think this works for me either. And if enough people start recognizing that a lot of the ways that we've been doing things in our society doesn't work, then that's when something new is birthed. When enough people have had enough, and we rise up. And we have a revolution. That revolution word has just been used so harshly as something that's, a revolution, like it's just something just violent and just antagonistic. But think about the word revolution. It's just revolve. That just means that we're turning around and we're showing the other side of things. Okay? Two sides to the same coin. When we have a revolution, same coin. But we could turn it around and we could see that it's a different face on this side. And then maybe this is the season to let this side of the coin show. You know? Have a revolution. Have a change of thought. Turn things around. Make a 180, right? And go to the other side of the spectrum. Okay? See things from a different perspective. See things from a different light. Let that change manifest. Okay. So that's really what the extent of that video was about, is recognizing how the flow really is, just from a nature's perspective, that it starts with the feminine energy, right? The feminine energy births the masculine, brings the masculine into his role. And then that masculine energy, it walks into his role to now reciprocate and bring back that energy back to the female, and now help the female actually walk in a new role. It's a give and go. It's a give and go, and it's a give and go. And when we understand this, we can flow better in our society as husbands and wives, as man and woman, as masculine and feminine. We can let these two polar opposites harmonize together and blend well together, because now we have an understanding of both roles. So just to close, women, you're healing. You are healed. You are healers. Walk in that healing. Walk as healers, right? And continue to be aware that it's always going to be a need for a woman to help bring forth a new thing. Be that new thing. Walk in that role. Get rid of the things that you don't need. Cleanse yourself. Walk in that newness and lead us into a new era. Man, the new era is coming. We have planted the seed, okay? Now let's fall back and let's let this seed be taught and nurtured and guided by the feminine energy and brought forth and led out of the darkness into the marvelous light, right? And let's be the protectors and the guardians of this wisdom, okay? Let's provide the barriers that needs to be put up to be able to protect this wisdom, and let this wisdom be guided towards a new horizon, a new destination as humanity, because we're preparing for something, okay? We're getting things right here on this planet as mankind, so we can be a stronger and positive force whose frequency can match the heavens, can match the universe, because the universe is vibrating on a whole higher plane to be able to create stars and planets and new formations that last for eons and eons. That's seemingly eternal, okay? We are learning how to be a productive member of the society of existence as a whole, not just here on this planet. We're just here on this planet as a test and as a means to learn what it is to be what we're going to be for the rest of the universe as a whole. So I hope this was like a good clarification of things. I just speak from my heart. I don't have no script. I don't sit down and write no notes of what I'm going to say. I just turn this camera on. As you can see, I'm at work. When I feel it, the unction, I just flow. And I just pray that the people that is led to hear these words chime in, share their perspectives, and we all grow together. So my break is definitely over. I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. But I love each and every one of you, people that I know and I don't know. I send my love out to all of humanity, all of mankind. We are going into a new era, and it's beautiful. Turn your perspective, turn things around. Let revolution start with you, and you'll see the new birth, and you'll be a part of it. Love. Peace.